Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today I'm going to show you how to do a restoration of a headlight on a car so that you'll actually have much more visibility driving down the road. As you can see, when the light gets all discolored like this, it cuts down on the visibility and therefore you can't see that good at night. Alright, so let me show you what kit I'm going to use. The one I'm going to be using is actually this one here. It's made by Turtle Wax. Not that I'm pushing this particular a headlight restoration kit over another, but that just happens to be the one that I like to use. I will put a link in my Amazon store down below. You can take a look and you can see what they look like and all the different kinds that are out there. So you're going to need the kit, you're going to need some tape, and you're going to need a couple of rags to clean off any residue on there. Alright, so alright, let's get set up and let's get started. Okay, so that's what the light looks like now before we do the restoration. That one. And then we have this one here. As you can see, they're actually, it definitely will cut down on the visibility down the road. All right, one is a little worse than the other, so we're going to make them so that they come out perfect. All right, so, all right, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, if you have tape, you can tape it up. If you don't have tape, then of course you don't have to tape it up. You just have to be very careful. But we're going to put some tape around this just so we don't damage the paint or the bumper itself. All right, so first thing we'll do is let's tape it all up and this is what comes in the kit. Okay, and of course it comes with the base coat, which is actually a clear coat that goes on later on. See, when you open up the package, there's actually 3 or 4 discs. Actually, what happens is there's 2 discs, but the sides are actually different. They have numbers on the sides, so you know which pad you're supposed to be using first, which sanding pad. Okay, obviously we're going to use the number 1 first, then we're going to go to number 2, number 3, and last is number 4. All right. It comes with a lubricating spray like this that we need to put on there when we're working back and forth with it, so we will need that. And then after everything is all finished with the 4 pieces of sandpaper, we're going to come in with this clear coat and we're going to polish it with the clear coat. We're going to let it dry, then we'll wipe it off and we'll put a clear on top of it. All right, so first thing we're going to do now is we're going to get started. Okay, we're going to take our number 1 pad. We're going to spray it with the spray lubricant. And then we're going to wet the lens. And we want to make sure the lens stays wet. It's very important that it stays wet. And we're going to go just one direction back and forth. We're not going to go up and down or anything like that. We're just going to keep going back and forth like this. In one direction only. Keep it wet. Make sure you stay wet. You don't want to use a dry pad on here. You'll wind up scratching it. Okay, now we're going to switch it over to side number 2, and we're going to continue the opposite direction, up and down, opposite of what you did before. We're just going to go up and down here, and we're going to do this until we have it nice and clean as well. And again, we're using the number 3 now. Okay, now that we switched over to number 3, we're just going to go the opposite direction of what we did before. Before with the number 2, we went up and down. With the number 3, now we're going to go left to right, and we'll just continue with that. Okay, then we'll wipe off the residue from number 3. And we'll take our number 4 pad, spray it down. Make sure you spray your lens again. And now we're going to go the opposite direction that we went before. Here we're going up and down, and we're just going to do this for approximately a minute, just to make it as smooth as possible. And as you can see, there's less residue that's on there now. Initially, remember how dirty it was? Okay, let's wipe that off. Okay, now we're going to let this dry for a little bit before we come in and do the compounding over the top of it here. So for now, we're going to go over and do the other side. We're going to let this dry, and then we'll come right back. Once this is dry, we'll put our clear, our buffing coat over the top of it, and then we'll put our clear on it. Okay, so now once this is thoroughly dried, we're going to take our lens compound. We're going to take a cloth, and we're going to come in here just like you would compound a car. And we're going to compound here, just like that. And now after we have this side cleaned down as well, we're going to take our cloth and we're going to work in the compound. Okay, now that we put the compound over the top of it, we're going to let that sit until it dries, and then we're going to wipe it off. Now, obviously, we're going to clean the car off itself, and the same thing on this side over here. We're going to wait for it to dry, and then we're going to rub that off with a clean cloth, and then we'll put the finished product over the top. Okay, so once the compound dries, then it turns to a film on here. We just come in here and we just clean the film off. We're going to wipe it all off, just like this. Now you want to do this on both sides at the same time, because the lens sealer and cleaner, it only works for a very short period of time. So you have to do both at the same time, otherwise it dries up and it will be no good anymore. All right, so now once we have these done like this, we're going to take our lens base coat wipes, and we're going to wipe the whole thing down with the lens base coat. We are going to use our glove, like it says in the directions. We are going to keep our glove on that hand, and this is the lens base coat wipes, and we're just going to wipe the entire lens down with it, just like this, and it takes off any kind of dirt or any kind of stuff that's on here, any kind of impurities from the process. So we're going to wipe it down like this. And now immediately we're going to go to the other side and we're going to let that sit. And we'll do the same thing on this side over here. That's why it's imperative that you do these at the same time, otherwise it'll dry up if you do it at two separate times. So make sure you're ready to do both lights at the same time. Okay, now we're just going to let this sit until it dries up, and once it dries up, once the wipe on there dries up, we'll come back and we'll put our clear lens sealant over the top. So all right, stick around and we'll finish this off. Now as soon as it's dry from using the lens base coat wipe, we're going to come in with this lens sealer, and we're going to do the exact same thing. This keeps it from turning yellow in the future. All right, and we're going to immediately go to the other side and do the same thing on the other side. That will take 24 hours to cure, so it's pretty obvious that I will not be washing off the bumper right there. But once this finish is dried on the lights, then we will clean the car off to get all that residue off of the bumper. So let me take my stuff off. I'll bring you in there and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what the lens looks like after it's been totally sealed. Now we are going to pull this off here, of course. We'll do that in just a moment. The same thing on this side over here. You can see it's nice and clean now, just like they were brand new all over again. Now, like I said, tomorrow after this dries, we will come in here and wipe this off in here. So tomorrow we'll wipe that off. Let's take this tape off here now. And then this job is done. Well, it'll be done tomorrow after I wash it off, actually. All right. As you can see, they come out really, really good. Okay, now if the headlights themselves are really in very poor condition, the more you sand it with the number 1, number 2, and 3, and 4, the more of the light, the faded area is going to come off on the light. So don't skip any steps, take your time, and the job will come out perfect. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.